Roots and Rigour, Rigour and flow. Roots and Rigour, Rigour and flow. Roots and Rigour, Rigour and flow. Rigour and flow.
One. It's almost Christmas time.
It is indeed. It was 2 nights before Christmas.
Oh, you wanted to say twas the night.
I did,
before
yeah,
Christmas.
I did.
Well, we could. Well, you know, yeah. It's almost Christmas.
It is always Christmas. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. We've had a busy year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a year of laying foundations.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And we have worked like beasts. And so to get to this point, I'm just enjoying the rest. That's what it is. I'm enjoying the rest.
I am just ready for the big roast dinner we do.
Oh, yes.
As our Christmas tradition. I'm ready for your cocktails. Oh my goodness, you are the queen of cocktails.
Please recognise, guys.
She's the queen of cocktails.
I used to work at TGI. That's where I learned to make cocktails at TGI Fridays.
TGI Fridays known for great cocktails.
Well, I don't know, but you know, at that point, I was 18 years old.
Oh,
I came from a household that didn't do alcohol at all, so that was my first introduction to really alcohol in that cocktail sense. Do you know what I mean? And so and their bartenders there would do tricks.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
flair,
yeah.
They called it flair or flares or something like that. FLAIR. As opposed to flares, the 70s trousers.
Very different thing.
Very, very different thing. And I learned to do flares. I learned to make cocktails.
Wow.
I made all sorts of cocktails. Long Island iced tea, Sex on the Beach.
Yeah.
There was Purple Rain, which was really beautiful because it had grenadine. And I think it was blue. I think they called it blue balls. I'm not sure if you're allowed to. That's probably the guys. I mean, I didn't know anything about blue balls. They were probably taking a piss out of me now that I think about it. But you mix the two and it kind of made purple because obviously blue and red makes purple.
Yeah.
And I used to love making that cocktail. And so that's carried on. I've just carried my love of cocktails through.
It's true. I actually feel like I remember you doing some sort of weird trick last year, if I'm not mistaken, after you shook it or you did something and you were like, baby, watch this. And I don't think it went very well if I don't remember.
That's not true. Everything I do goes well. What do you mean?
That's true, obviously.
Everything I touch
turns to gold.
Turns to gold.
Okay, darling, as you like. Fair enough. Okay, well, anyway, I am looking forward to experiencing your cocktail prowess once again. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, hold on. Before we go there, what cocktail would you like me to make for Christmas?
Was it a margarita? You did something
Spicy
with this amazing
margarita.
salt, like spicy, salty.
I think it's called tahine or something.
I don't know
It's
what
a
it's
Mexican,
called, but I know it tasted
It's so good.
incredible. I don't drink that much, but you really can make a cocktail.
Thank you.
And it's not any kind of Sex on the Beach nonsense or any of that. You know, obviously,
God.
I would not be drinking Sex on the Beach.
I actually would.
I know you would.
I don't really like vodka. That's the thing. I'm not a big fan of vodka.
Rum all the time.
Oh, it's rum all the way.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also just looking forward to watching all my favourite shows.
Yeah, we've got a good bank. We've actually been really good at delaying gratification.
We have.
Because we've actually got a good bank of shows that we want to watch.
What's your top show you're going to watch this Christmas?
Squid Game The Challenge.
Okay, yeah.
Is my number one. And I would like to finish off Harlots.
Oh, yeah, me too. I want to watch that with you. Okay.
Yeah. I think those are my two that I absolutely have to get through.
Okay. Well, I've got many things saved up, but the one I'm most excited about is Real Lives of Mormon Housewives.
Oh, yeah. You've done good at delaying that, actually.
I can't wait to binge it.
Yeah, you've done
wait.
so well. Because I've seen it. It comes up every time on Disney.
Yeah.
I'm like, is she going to take the bait?
I said it's got to wait till holiday season. I would have had to start it and never get through an episode the way this year's been.
That's true.
Well, it's only been out since November, the latest season. So I was just like, I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it and nothing is going to interrupt it.
I love
Hence,
that.
Christmas.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it is the festive season. And so where we are, we're in a kind of block. This is kind of like it's like a kind of co-working type, whatever space. It's our little studio space. And there are other people who use other parts of the building. And so because it's festive season, there's a group of people who are downstairs and they're
having a good time.
They're
letting us know it's festive season. And normally it's like quiet in here when we, book in the daytime, but not today.
Not today. So if you can hear some exuberant conversation behind us, that's what it is. I really don't like telling people to be quiet or to pipe down or just even, it's their right. You know what I mean? It is the festive season
to be jolly. Isn't that the phrase?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go down there and say, please, guys, can you be quiet? Because actually, I want them to be joyful because Lord knows it's been a tough year.
It's the season for celebration, and this is just feed warming, so you should feel the vibes of the space that we're in, I feel. So.
Precisely. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, this is our first of 4 feed warmers that we are sharing in terms of shows we like, things we've been listening to, things that have caught our attention, just to keep things going till we're officially back on the 20th of January. And today is my pick. I'm very excited about today's pick because if you have been watching this show or listening to this show, you know by now about my love of reality TV and what I call trash TV, which just means the frivolous, fun stuff that you can really just soak in. You don't have to think too hard. It's kind of my off-duty ethnography for, when I'm not in research mode. And today we are sharing a show that we actually launched and produced this year. Aiwan has led on that for us at AiAi Studios. And it is Unguilty Pleasures with Liv and Scarlett Curtis, which I'm very excited about. So you've been working on the show this year. What's it been like?
And it's not even just a show that we produce, because like normally, people hire us to produce their shows, whereas this one we actually own the show with Liv and Scarlett. So it's actually a piece of AiAi Studios' original IP. And that's been really exciting for us because one of the things that we've been really pushing for in the last couple of years is developing our own in-house shows, partnering with really good people, talented people, to build our portfolio of owned IP.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that show for me is special because it's kind of the first external offering beyond Rigour and Flow.
Yeah.
That's ours. So that's been really exciting.
Yeah. And Liv and Scarlett, who host it, are absolute powerhouses. They're absolutely brilliant. This is a show that has actually kept me going throughout this year.
No way.
I mean, you probably overheard it, but when I get into the shower in the morning, I listen to it, and it's the kind of thing that I can listen to at the start of my day and enjoy. And also because I'm looking after the kind of data and research insights, it's really lovely for it to not be something that's just like, I'm just tracking the data of the show. This is like a show I'm actually a fan of, right? So it's really, really fun. And I've kind of interspersed listening to Liv and Scarlett's show alongside watching the franchise it's based on, which is the Real Housewives franchise. And the London edition of it launched this year. So their show was timed with that. So I would sort of watch the episodes myself and then listen to Liv and Scarlett's take because I didn't want them to spoil it. I wanted to know my take before I heard their take. So that I could be like, I agree with them on this, don't agree on this. I also think this. Do you know what I mean? It's just been a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's a good show. It's a fun show. It's kind of, like I said before, often the stuff that I am brought on to produce is often just very serious, very historical, all of the things that I've said before. So it's nice that Liv and Scarlett kind of were like, no, but we want to work with you on this joyful thing. Crazy, chaotic, beautiful show. Yeah. And I'm really glad because what I like about it is that I get to just relax and enjoy.
Yeah.
And obviously there's still rigor because, it's got to be produced well. It's got to be developed well. The format's got to be right. All the pieces have to be there. But even like developing the brief for the music with Scarlett's brother was amazing, Charlie Curtis. And it was fun because what was I watching that I took inspiration from? The one where they go to the villa. You introduced me to that.
Vanderpump Rules, Vanderpump Villa.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they had a villa in Italy one time and then a villa, I think,
I want to say France? It was in Spain or south of France, might have been
something like that, yeah. And I remember hearing the theme tune from that and just thinking, it's so, like, evocative and romantic, but also there's this hint of like sadness or suspense, or like something's in there as well. It has the chords it uses are quite big and open and happy, but then the melody line is actually quite melancholic.
Oh, wow.
And so you get this beautiful contrast between these two emotions. And so I said to Charlie, I said, I want it to feel the same. I want it to feel big and open. So like lush strings, you know, brass, like full warm brass. But I want the synths to give it a melancholy vibe, a bit like that Vanderpump series.
Yeah.
And so it was just fun to pull that brief together. And I know he really enjoyed it. And we kind of went back and forth. It's like, oh, can you slow it down here? The brass is a bit too like bright and too harsh. So soften those down, make the synths a bit rounder. And then we end up with this incredible theme tune, which I'll put in over this bit that I'm talking on. I'll play it. But I think that he did just such a brilliant job. And it was so much fun because, again, I got to just go wild.
This is one of the things I love about doing this show with you, is that despite the fact that I've been alongside you all year in the discussions with like Liv and Scarlett when this was first being, you know, discussed as an idea we could work on together, and I knew you had done the kind of theme tune with Scarlett's brother, I've never heard that story. I've never heard you. I didn't know you had taken the Vanderpump Villa series as inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I saw you watching it next to me, but I had no idea that in that time you're sitting there, your brain is literally going, oh, the synths are doing this, and this is the melodic line, and we should use this here. Like, I had no idea, and I'm literally with you all the time.
Yeah.
I just heard the theme tune when you guys had finished it, and I was like, this is great. And I saw the artwork when you had finished it. I was like a bit like much more removed from the whole process. And I was just like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. That's a little bit of extra
Little
background
trivia.
information. But yeah, so it was a really good process to work on that show. But this is not my Feedwarmer, it's your Feedwarmer.
Well, I have, I mean, part of why I chose it is because it's nice to have the chance to ask you. It's kind of reflecting on the year as well. I think it might be helpful for people to understand how the show even came about.
Yes.
Because, you know, it's like you say, we've been wanting to have this suite of shows, but why and how Liv and Scarlett?
So, Liv and Scarlett, like me, are often called upon, well, mostly called upon, to talk about big, heavy topics. You know, they offer their cultural critiques on things. So Liv Little is the CEO of gal-dem. gal-dem doesn't exist anymore, but essentially gal-dem was a magazine and a publishing platform that was dedicated to championing the voices of women and people of marginalised genders who are people of colour as well. And as you can imagine, the topics you're dealing with are ranging from, you know, systemic abuse and injustice. You're dealing with burnout, the stresses of being in this system that can be very hostile. You know, it's like everything is quite
Heavy.
deep and heavy and historical and investigative and all of those sorts of things. And being a Black queer woman herself, obviously she's dealing with the same system as well. And then Scarlett Curtis has done a lot of work in the space of like feminism.
Yeah.
And she's known for her book, Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies, which was a Sunday Times bestseller. So,
And her TV writing. No?
oh, and her TV writing, yeah. So she wrote on The Summer I Turned Pretty. And so in a way, a lot of their work is grounded in social justice.
And social critiques.
Social
cultural
critique.
critiques, essentially.
Precisely, really heavy stuff. And their way of letting off steam and relaxing and turning off that part of their brain is the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
As it is for you when you watch your reality. I mean, that's what got you through your PhD.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. If I didn't have any number of things like what I call shit show, which is
Oh, Below Deck.
Below Deck.
I love
And,
Below Deck.
you know, maths, you know, Married at First Sight, UK edition,
Yeah.
Australia edition.
Yeah.
If I didn't have Real Housewives, Secret Lives, I hadn't got to yet. I don't think it was out yet. Maybe, or if it
feel
was,
like
I didn't.
introduced you to Secret Lives and More Wives. Did I?
I remember somebody at the Climb 25
Oh, really?
thingy asking me, have you watched Secret Lives? And actually it came about a week after Holly Gowan my friend Holly,
Oh, yeah.
had also told me about it.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was like, okay, I guess I've got to watch this thing. And boy, was I glad when I found it. But
Yeah.
you get what I mean? My
Yeah, it was
point
good.
is, I share their love and their need for reality TV to just decompress.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And they do it well. And obviously, they are fiercely intelligent women. And so while the shows that they're referencing are quite light and you might call it trash TV or reality TV or whatever, actually a lot of their critiques follow on from the way they do their work.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
There are some brilliant critiques in there, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a fun show, but they definitely analyze stuff. Like, without giving anything away about the show or Real Housewives, if you haven't watched it, you know, they talk about, you know, royalty in this country and the monarchy.
Colonialism.
But it doesn't feel so intense that you can't switch off to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
They get the balance right.
Precisely.
They do.
Precisely. Yeah.
They do. Ask me what my favourite episode is.
I want to, but I want to ask you another question
Okay,
first.
go.
Is
Ask
that
me
okay?
another question. Yeah, yeah.
You skipped over something quite important in telling how the show came about, which is that you already had worked with Liv Little. So that seems like a whole chunk of history. Like, why did she come to you?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, because, okay. So, I go way back, actually, with Liv. I started working with gal-dem in 2018. They used to have these live storytelling events, which were amazing. I loved them. And I had just moved back to London from Leeds, and they needed a recording engineer. And so I applied when they got the gig, and I went there.
They made a good choice.
And I went there, and then I was only supposed to do the live sound for it.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to bring a field recorder and just record it anyway and show them what I can do in terms of recording.
Right.
So I took my field recorder, plugged it into the desk and recorded the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I sent it to, I don't know, I think it was Eunice who was doing the gig. And I said, I've just recorded it. It's no stress. I'm deleting off my thing. It is what it is. And she was just like, oh my God, this sounds incredible. It's like this. She's like, so can you do, and then she started asking me questions about the other things I could do. So they called me back for the second storytelling gig, and I recorded that as well because she asked me to. And then she was like, oh, I wonder if we can turn this into something, because they had a thing on Represent Radio at the time. So we started making plans to almost turn it into what I now know of as a podcast.
Right.
Does that make sense? It didn't happen for a whole bunch of reasons, because we didn't get release forms from people and this, that and the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of petered out, but I was in their minds.
Right.
And so when the time came for them to do their first podcast, Liv asked me, can you do podcasts? I didn't know what a podcast was. So I just said, yes, I can do a podcast. And then went away and Googled.
Make it till you make it.
Yeah, essentially, what is a podcast? It's audio. And I was like, well, I can do audio in my
with your
sleep.
eyes
Do you know
closed.
what I mean? Like, that audio is my thing.
Yeah.
So I said yes. And we recorded Growing Up with gal-dem, which became 8 seasons, almost 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Over the space of about 5 years or so. Wow. And that was my history. Liv and Charlie Brinkhurst Cuff were the hosts for the first 2 seasons, I think. And then we had different hosts, with Natty Kasambala being the longest host. Loads of details that you don't need there. But essentially, that's my history with Liv Little and gal-dem.
But it's an important history, right? Because it didn't come out of nowhere. You know, Liv obviously trusts you to make a show. She's worked with you before. You knew what you were getting into. In this point, we'd been thinking, okay, we want to work with these great talents. It was a very much a known entity, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like that was really good.
Absolutely.
I do want to ask you what your favourite episode was. However, I've got another thing that we skipped over, which is that there's another exec. And that was very exciting for me for a bunch of reasons.
Yes.
Tell us about who the other partner on this project is.
The other partner on this is the incredible powerhouse that is Elizabeth Day. And she runs a production company called Daylight Productions, another women-led production company. And she is the other executive on this.
I mean, she is a powerhouse. Like, she's been on the Sunday Times bestseller list.
She's got her
I think
own
like
show.
6 or maybe even 9 times over. A lot of times, basically.
And her own show,
How to Fail.
How to Fail,
Yeah.
is another powerhouse podcast.
It's like a top performing podcast.
All the time.
A lot of people probably will know it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a really fascinating connection as well, because it turns out Elizabeth Day went to the same school as I went to.
Yes.
For the second part of high school.
Yep.
And I was just like, I had heard about her podcast even long before it blew up, because one of my really close friends, Emily, told me about it, because she had come across it, or it had been promoted in this school magazine long after we had left school. So I was like, oh, how weird that she would suddenly be there. And then just before we were meeting her for the first time, I looked her up and realised not only did we go to the same high school in the Midlands of the UK, she also went to school in Belfast, in Northern Ireland.
That blew my mind.
I know. And I was just
chances?
That wasn't a really very common trajectory, you know. And I was just like, we had a call with her, our first call with her, and we all realised this connection.
Yeah.
And I really, really want to talk to her about it, because I want to know what her experiences are like, but I haven't had a chance yet. So that's something I want to do in 2026.
It's going to happen. It has to happen, because I even want to hear that conversation. Like, how did this work? Like, what was going on?
Yeah. I want to know what it was like for an English girl.
Yeah.
In Northern Ireland.
Yeah, at that time as well.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's Unguilty Pleasures.
Yes. Anyway, that's a lot of sidetracking. I do want to know what your favourite episode was.
Oh, easy.
Okay.
You know it's going to be the one that's heavy on sound design. And it's got to be the story or the tale of Jen Shah.
Oh, now, is that the breaking news one?
Yeah. That No, it's not the breaking news
one. That was great.
Although I did like design. That. I did like the sound. So basically, I did the sound design on all the episodes. And yeah, the story of Jen Shah, for me, I just loved. Not only, I mean, Liv did a brilliant job of telling the story. That's the first thing. The story itself is crazy. Yeah, I was like, what are these housewives getting up to?
They're no joke. You'd think they're housewives with nothing going on. Some of these people,
they're scamming, they're getting arrested, they're in prison, but they're not just in prison, they're in prison in style.
Yeah.
They're dressed
getting
up, they've
hair
got little
done
poodles
before they
and
leave.
nails and
yeah, it's
everything.
Wild.
They're fighting. They're like all sorts.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's crazy. But the story of Jen Shah I loved, because I got to play around with sound design and, you know, a bit of Atmos and little drops of music and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that.
It makes sense that you've chosen the one heavy on sound design. That is not the one I expected you to say.
Oh, which one did you expect I'd say?
I thought you were going to say the episode with Richard Curtis, who Scarlett, for anyone who doesn't know, is the daughter of the famous and the great Richard Curtis.
Yeah.
And he came on the show, and I remember afterwards you were like, I think I really needed that conversation.
Yeah, I did.
Because he dropped some wisdom, some knowledge and some gems,
Because he's like, in the entertainment industry, you could think of him as like a elder statesman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's done all the things.
Love Actually.
He's done everything like in our industry. And I think at that point, I was kind of in a little bit of a slump, because I was just overworked. I was tired. And you know, when you're building a foundation, all you see is dirt for the longest before you see anything materialize. And I think I was just in that deep, dark dirt phase of the foundation building that we were doing. And then he came on and he just reignited my love for the entertainment industry. And he was like, no, entertainment is important.
Yeah.
It's actually a really, really important part of the world and of culture.
And society. And people surviving life and enjoying themselves and wanting and needing to be entertained.
Exactly. And he did it in that way that he does, where it's just so calm. He doesn't take himself too seriously. I love his giggles.
Yeah.
I love when
also,
he giggles.
he loves reality TV and he talks about its significance in like the writing process and understanding characters. And that was really fun.
Yeah, like when he said, like, I couldn't write dialogue better than what you see. Or no, he said, if I could write dialogue half as good as what you see on reality TV, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was just saying how amazing the dialogue is. And it's not writable, really, because it is really real and really human. And I think hearing that, it reminded me that the path I've chosen, which is the path of deeply human, deeply immersive, I think is the right path for me in the entertainment industry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
Obviously, he's a legend, but it was good to hear him talk.
Yeah, you need that sometimes. You need the wisdom of the people who've been there and done it and seen it.
Because we're siloed.
Yeah.
We're often siloed because of working from home. We're often just at home in our little silo, just working almost in the dark. Mm-hmm. And so, you need to hear an outside voice speak into the darkness and give it some light.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to get into my favourites. Well, I had loads of favourite episodes. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed them. But for this particular Feedwarmer, I actually wanted to select Elizabeth Day's episode.
Yeah,
because
she was great.
came on the show and wow, that woman, so fun to listen to, doesn't take herself too seriously and is... I mean, when I thought I liked reality TV, and then Elizabeth Day came on, and I was just like, okay, I don't really like reality TV. Like, she is encyclopedic.
Yes.
And she watches everything, not just the Real Housewives franchise, which she knows like the back of her hand.
Yep.
Everything, ship show, shit show.
All of
she
it.
watches all of them.
Yep.
All of them.
Yep.
And there's this moment in this episode, I think we should play the intro for people. But also, there's a bit at the end of this episode where she's given the opportunity to say why everyone should watch Real Housewives and basically pitch.
And my little bit of sound design.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I have never heard such a phenomenal pitch for reality TV.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should leave it here as an advert for anybody who wants to check out the Unguilty Pleasures podcast, which launched this year, and just hear it as told by Elizabeth Day, because she says it better than any of us could.
Love it.
Hello and welcome to Unguilty Pleasures, a Real Housewives breakdown. I am Liv.
And I'm Scarlett, back from not being here last week. Today we are joined by an extremely special guest, and we're going to be talking about everything Housewives and sharing our thoughts on the first few episodes of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Which is good.
So
You may know,
good.
so good. You may know our wonderful guest, Elizabeth Day, as the host of the chart-topping extraordinary podcast, How to Fail. She is also the Sunday Times bestselling author of 5 novels and 3 works of non-fiction, which collectively have gained her a Betty Trask Award, Observer Book of the Year, and a Richard and Judy Summer Book Club pick.
Her new novel, One of Us, just came out, and she is also the founder of Daylight Productions, a podcast network that elevates female and diverse voices in the podcasting space. She is an impressive woman, as you've heard, but even more impressive than all of this, she is potentially the only human being on this planet who has watched more Housewives than me. Please welcome to the podcast our executive producer and dearly beloved pod mother, Elizabeth Day.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. And of all of those achievements, the one I am proudest of is potentially having watched more Housewives than Scarlett.
Truly, it's a feat. And also more of just like
Just 'cause I'm older.
any insane random spin-off show, like tandem. You're the only person when I can text and be like, you up to date? And you're like, yeah, I finished it all, obviously.
I'm actually almost offended by the question. I'm like, of course I've watched all of Winter House.
Yeah, obviously watched all of Winter House, including the weird below deck people that managed to slip in there. You must have it too, because you are incredibly busy. But when people say, how do you find the time? I find it the most offensive question ever.
Yes, I think for me, I'm not a regular practitioner of meditation or journaling, but watching premium reality TV is my meditation. It's where I go for comfort, for reassurance, for getting out of my own headspace, but into a sort of creative bubble that really inspires me and entertains me simultaneously. So I just make the time. If I don't have the time, I make the time. So I've just been on book tour, and you bet you I was downloading episodes of Salt Lake City to watch on the train journeys from York to Edinburgh to West Kirby to Bath, because that is how I choose to spend my time. And also because I'm ultimately a freelancer, but I give myself a lunch break, and during my lunch break, I will catch up on the latest episode of Below Deck, as I did today.
It's basically essential watching as part of your writing career. Without it,
100% Liv. And I know that you feel this too. I feel it's such rich fodder for a writer of any kind, but particularly a writer of fiction. It gives me such an understanding of character and group dynamics, and a window into the lives of people who aren't necessarily like me. But that, for me, is what the best storytelling is. It's an act of active empathy. It's active imaginative empathy, which humanizes others. And so that's an amazing place for a writer to get inspiration from.
Totally. And I think also I have it with like TV writing, where you're like, I think you're always trying to pair people. Sometimes you're trying to pull characters back and you're like, how do I make this person realistic? And actually what it's made me realize is people are more nuanced than we can ever even dream of. And also it makes me, I was thinking this week, I was like, it's quite good at showing you that no matter what we do in our, this is a bad message, but no matter what awful things we do in our lives, we can make it back from it. Like, you know, we're all loving Erica Jane now, and she, you know, stole money from the victims of the Malaysian airline crash.
Yeah, I think the sort of the best way to make it back into a group of friends on Real Housewives and thereby make it back into public affection is to own it, as Lisa Rinna would have said.
Yes.
You have to own the fact that you've done something wrong. And almost as soon as you've done that and you've given a sincere seeming apology, everything is forgiven.
Yeah.
And not to get too deep too soon, but that is like the Christian doctrine.
Yeah.
That is. That forgiveness exists for all of us.
Yes.
I've
Real
learned so
Housewives,
much.
the Bible.
It's
But it's
our
true,
Bible.
you're never too far gone to be redeemable.
No, and I also think, Scarlett, to your point about character, a lot of what frustrated me about scripted drama before people who watch Real Housewives, including you, started writing scripts, is that it always felt like the character had been focus grouped. So the focus group had said, oh, well, why does the character act like this? We need to make it make sense. And actually what Housewives is brilliant at showing is that character doesn't always have to make sense. These women can be contradictory and nuanced and hilarious and tragic all at once. And that's what's so compelling.
But that's
Totally.
the reality of people and characters. We are unpredictable, and it makes it, you know, a much more enjoyable read and ride when we do not know truly where they're going to go next. I'm curious to know, like, what was your sort of entry point into this very expansive franchise?
Well, I really appreciate that you ask every single guest this question because it says so much, not only about the Housewives, but about what we get from it and our understanding of our own lives. Because when I first discovered Housewives, it was a very particular time in the culture in that there were no such thing as like, hey, you reality TV streamers. It was really the dark ages. But there was this channel called ITVB that used to do reruns. Yes. Of Housewives, Scarlett. And they had a really old season of The Real Housewives of OC. And OC is not my natural footing in terms of this reality realm. But there was a storyline involving a housewife called Megan King Edmonds. And she was going through IVF at almost exactly the same time as I was doing IVF. And she took the viewer along that journey. So she would take videos of herself, giving herself hormone injections. And I had literally never seen that on screen. I also had never seen it in books. I remember going to my local bookshop when I was going through IVF, being like, what can I expect? And there was nothing. There was just mother and baby books. And so to see someone on my screen going through it and portraying it really realistically was amazing for me and reassuring and made me feel so seen and understood. And then I realised that there was all of this glorious campery that came along with it. And I used to watch EastEnders religiously, and then that had sort of fallen by the wayside. And Housewives became not just a soap opera, but the best kind of fly-on-the-wall documentary. It's sort of the sweet spot between the two. So I started watching OC on ITVB. And then I also began to get sent by the newspaper I was working for at the time to America lots for work. And every time I was in an American hotel room, I would feverishly flick through all the channels until I landed on Bravo. And then I would watch whatever was on there. And I loved it so much, and I was so obsessive about it, that I started listening to the American reality TV breakdown podcasts, even though they were doing episodes that I had no way of seeing back home. Because I just wanted to be in that world and in that humour. And that was my entry point.
So
I love
beautiful.
the thought of this being a replacement for EastEnders. And I never really compared the two, but actually there is a link to be had.
There
It does
is.
feel like the most camp of sort of soap operas. I think it's really interesting what you say about, you know, the moment that you were watching the show and you were like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this on screen, and this is like reflecting a direct part of my lived experience. I think often that is the thing that pulls us in. I don't know if you've seen actually the last season of Master of None, the Moments in Love, where Lena Waithe
Yes.
and Naomi Aki are in it, and they're going through IVF and like the process of trying to become parents as this kind of queer couple. And that was the first time that I'd ever seen something that might be close to what I may experience, you know, on screen in that way. And so, yeah, it's a truly powerful thing. Were there other forms of like reality TV prior to Real Housewives that had you hooked? Were you like really, really deep into Big Brother when it came out, or anything else of the time?
So glad you asked me this. Yes, is the short answer. I, like you two, am a reality TV obsessive.
Obsessive.
It is my mastermind specialist subject. It is something I could do a PhD on. And I was hooked from the moment that the first episode of Big Brother aired. And I remember that really vividly as well, because it was so different from anything that had been on our screens before. And I remember, because I was at university at the time, and there were like communal TVs, because it was basically a pre-internet age. And I remember going to the communal TV room specifically at like Friday night at 9 p.m. to see the live final. And then I remember going backpacking around Tunisia with my then boyfriend and desperately trying to find internet cafes where we could catch up on the news from Big Brother. And I remember my mum being into it, and she sent me an email saying, "You'll never guess what Nasty Nick has done. He's written the names of the people he wants to nominate, and he's handed them to other contestants." And it felt like such a big scandal. And like, how hilarious, given what we now accept as just sort of normal on our reality TV screens, that at that time, that felt like the worst thing you could do. So from Big Brother onwards, I was hooked. And it's actually hard to identify a reality TV show that I haven't watched. I think where I slightly draw the line, and it's not a judgment thing, it's just a time thing, is I've never watched Ex on the Beach. And I have never watched Married to Medicine, but only because there was some glitch in the Hey You app when I was trying to watch it. And it kept getting stuck in like episode 3, season 1, and repeating the same scenes. And so I've never got into it. But a lot of the time, the very like sexually based TV shows where it's like people in their 20s just hooking up.
In bikinis on a beach.
Yeah. I don't put Love Island in that category, because Love Island for me is much more
Love
about...
Island is Shakespeare.
Love Island is Shakespeare, Scarlett. You're
it's
so right.
Deeply important. I was looking through my diary
And
from this year.
Dickens.
The finale of Love Island, I was absolutely mad. In my journal, and I'd forgotten this, I'd printed out pictures of Shakira, Yasmin and Tony and wrote underneath it, "We're so lucky to have them."
We're blessed.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. The best final 3 couples, well, not even the couples, but the best final 3 women I think we've ever had in Love Island history. And that for me conveys so much of what Love Island is about. It's actually about the friendships. And yes, it's about people who believe in romance and love, but it's not necessarily about like giving blowjobs in bikinis. And that's where I slightly get lost. Although I did watch Too Hot to Handle recently and I quite liked it.
You know what I love about you saying that, Elizabeth, is with shows I haven't ever gone into, I think I'm starting to realize that one day I will come to them. Like, I will have a breakdown or depressive episode in the future. I will be, end up with a medical issue, I'll get sick. And I need to save some of these shows, because there are so many shows where I've been like, I would never go there. And then you just wait for the right rock bottom and I go there.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I
have
agree.
no
And I
doubt,
know-
unfortunately, that Ex on the Beach is in your future.
I agree with you. And I also know that on the back burner, I've got the 2nd season of The Ultimatum Queer Love. Because the first
So do
season
I.
I was
They've
obsessed with.
cancelled it, guys. It's cancelled. And I'm
Liv?
so upset.
That was an amazing piece of
I
TV, the first
am
season. I still follow them on
horrified.
Instagram.
Mate, it was incredible. I mean, the first season, like, just trumps the 2nd season. It was, like,
Okay.
just truly phenomenal watching. It's just unhinged in all the right ways. But I am so sad. Chriselle from Selling Sunset is like, I'll host it if you keep it going. I'm like, hear her plea, hear all of our
Chriselle,
pleas.
yes.
There are dykes crying all over the world. And this needs... we need it back.
You know what's so interesting on that Meghan King Edmonds from OC thing is, like, and I hope you don't mind me saying this about your close personal friend that helped you through your horrifying IVF journey. She was one of the most awful housewives we've ever had. I can barely look at her face, but I actually think that is one of the appeals of these shows. And I think this is also what, you know, why How to Fail, your amazing podcast, is so successful, because sometimes we are told representation comes from people that are very highbrow, perfect, you know, amazing examples, perfect role models, whatever it is. And that's actually not the things I need representation in. Like the parts of me that create the most shame is when I've been so depressed and viled my parents and really struggling with anxiety and cancelling every plan. It's that kind of underlayer of the world. And that's what I think these shows give you. It's not like, and I've made it through and aren't I amazing and read my book and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm in it right now and it's hard and it's tough and I'm showing that.
100%. And that's not a skill that I necessarily have. I don't feel comfortable sharing something when I'm right in it. There are plenty of times that I feel comfortable sharing something I've gone through because I feel that I'm able to bring more helpful purpose to that. But you're so right that housewives, their job is to share. And that's why we see increasingly with the breaking of the fourth wall, this frustration that so many cast members have of their fellow castmate who isn't sharing enough of their lives or is sharing a curated version. Because I think the viewer can always tell. And with Meghan, you're right, she acted in awful ways. She also was brilliant at uncovering Brooks's cancer scam, which I enjoyed. But there was that access point that I had to her. And again, going back to what we were saying at the beginning, seeing these women and men, but predominantly with housewives, these women just in all of their flawed glory is what keeps me coming back week after week. And also because then as the viewer, it keeps you in continuous evolving dialogue with the show. Because there are housewives that I really didn't like season 1 of Salt Lake City. I didn't think I liked Lisa Barlow, and now I'm ashamed of myself.
I've never loved anyone more.
I've never loved
over my
anyone more. She can do no wrong.
She can do no wrong.
She is not even top level. She's her own. She's Premier League. She's in the pantheon of great housewives. I love her so much, and I met her, and I was at the same dinner with her. And not only did she smell delicious, she wears poison, and she was like, "I'll send you some." I was like, "Thank you." She is so charismatic and beautiful and like the opposite of a gatekeeper. She just like shares everything. And she told me at that dinner, which was like a year and a half ago, Bronwyn's full of shit. She's a pathological liar. And I was like, I can see that, but also I love Bronwyn on the show.
How many?
Sorry, I've got into it.
This is so,
No, I'm just,
is
my
so
brain
good.
is like exploding. I can't believe that.
How, is Lisa the first wife that you've met? Like, have you been up close and personal with a few of them? And what does it feel like? We know that you bumped into Panthea at dinner, but
I'll come on to that. Okay, the first housewife that I met was actually online because she came on my podcast, and that was Caroline Stanbury, formerly of Ladies of London, now on Real Housewives of Dubai. I interviewed some over the phone. So in that era that I was watching ITVB, I was also a staff writer on The Observer. And I kept going to my editor, this like very highbrow culture section, saying, you have to let me write about Real Housewives because it's a huge thing and it's going to get bigger and bigger. And honestly, it took me like 6 months to get her to agree to it. And when I wrote that piece, I not only interviewed Stephen Dunlop, who's the originator of the entire thing. He's the guy who directed the documentary Behind the Gates, which became The Real Housewives of OC. When Andy Cohen picked up the unedited cuttings and was like, I think we have something here. But I interviewed Lisa Vanderpump, but only over the phone. And then since then, it's just been one of my many blessings that I've met lots of housewives. And one of them I text with, Dorinda Medley, and I have become kind of friends.
Oh my God. Dorinda is, I think, in my like top 3 of all housewives.
She is.
Seeing her this week on last week on Real Housewives of London, I've never been so happy in my life. Is she as lovely as she seems?
She is.
As that question came out my mouth, I was saying, is she as lovely as she seems? And I was like, she doesn't seem lovely. Actually, she seems like a nightmare. So I don't quite know how this makes sense.
Dorinda is unbelievably smart. She's super intelligent and she's a great storyteller. She's very, very funny, and she's a wonderful person to be in conversation with. Now, does she know anything about me? She asked me any questions? No, but I don't need that because I'm just so happy to be in her orbit. And she's very, like, she's got a really sweet, good heart. And she's like she appears on screen. And I think one of the issues, which I know you guys have spoken about on this brilliant podcast, one of the issues with the reboot of NYC is that it's a reboot featuring sort of influencers and people who are so aware of their image that they don't actually show up as themselves.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas Dorinda did.
Is there a level, how does interacting with these housewives, and we must say you've interviewed Andy Cohen, how does has interacting with the world changed your view of the shows or how you watch the shows at all?
That's such a great question. It hasn't. It's made me more excited to be part of the world as a professional enthusiast and as a fan. I would not want to be on any of these shows. I was kind of sounded out for Real Housewives of London. And I was unbelievably flattered, but I said no from the outset because I feel like being on a show and seeing how the sausage is made, I don't want that because it would take away from my enjoyment. I also, quite frankly, don't have thick enough skin because what these women deal with, not only when they're filming with their castmates, but then online with the trolling afterwards, I could just never do it. So actually being adjacent to that world and having sort of one foothold in it has just been an absolute delight. Like going on Watch What Happens Live as the bartender was one of the best days of my life, genuinely.
Before we let you go, to expand our cult, we want to create a collection of people imploring those who don't watch to watch. We're going to give you 1 minute on the clock to explain why you should be watching the shows and where you would start if you were just jumping in.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I don't know if I will ever be ready for this, but I'm going to try my best. Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
For me, Real Housewives is the best thing on modern television. And it's the best thing on our TVs for a number of reasons. One is, it is modern day Dickens. The attention played to plot, character and subplot, and the time that we are given to pursue these fascinating stories is unparalleled. The second reason is that it is vanishingly rare to see women of a certain age on our screens during prime time trying to discover themselves after widowhood, after divorce, going through menopause, handling hormones in teenage children. These are the things that we need so much more of in our scripted drama, and they are on screen for your delectation right now. Am I still recording?
You're still recording. Where would you start? Where would you start?
Where I would start is the Real Housewives of New York City, the OG version. I want you to watch from season 1 to season 14, and then it goes a bit off the boil with Black Shabbat. But that for me is just the most amazing piece of television, and I rewatched it all during the pandemic.
And that is 1 minute. Wow. No notes. No notes. That was perfection.
Sorry, my screen suddenly went blank, and I was like, oh my God, I've come to the end of my minute.
Talking into the
void. There was so much more I could say. The last thing I was saying, I know I'm going over, but it's like people pride themselves on being too intellectual for reality TV. And for me, that is so blinkered, and it means that you're closed-minded. And when you're closed-minded and prejudiced without having given something a chance, that is anti-intellectual. It's anti-curiosity. So I would just say to open your heart and open your mind, because actually all the best people watch reality TV.
That was a beautiful reality TV battle cry.
I think also the lesson we've learned from this whole podcast is you need to watch Ex on the Beach.
Thanks so much for listening. You can listen to all the episodes of Unguilty Pleasures wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we'll be back next week with another Feedwarmer for you. In the meantime, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or leave a review.
And you can buy us a coffee.
Link in the show notes.
Link in the show notes. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.